Good afternoon. So I'm trying out a little different microphone setup because you can hear the birds just a chirping in the backyard. We have blue jays squawking. You can hear the planes overhead and the buses passing by. I've got my coffee kombucha on, y'all. So last night I did up a nice big brew of the pecan flavor. Oh, yummy, yummy, yummy in my tummy. I have so much to share, but we're going to keep this short and sweet and loving and embracing because I know a lot of you out there are going through a lot of life changes. I'm watching and reading in our group. We have people on chemo. We have people going through struggles of what's next. And I'm telling you, I know, I'm feeling it. I'm going through it myself. You're seeing our lives, mine and Tommy's, right here. And so I want to share with you a little bit of what's going on because I'm hoping that my share will also help and inspire you all because we're all going through something and life is showing up where we're at. And I read Joanne's post and wow, Joanne, I'm feeling you, honey. We don't know until we open up our mouths and we share with others. Sometimes we think we can kind of work and navigate life in a way that if we don't talk about it, maybe it's not real. It's that cognizant theory from when we were children. And I can relate because I've been there and I've done it. And I've had to check myself and caught myself doing it before even now. Like, I'm 44 years old here, people. It's not like I don't know any better. But sometimes if I'm not present, I'm not mindful and paying attention to what's going on in my life and my mind first, I can allow it to take over and it can get away from me. I can let life dictate. Or I should say the external forces and circumstances penetrate my aura, my magnetic field, my beingness that really has to come from the inside and radiate out. Even the external is a reflection of the internal, but the more we attach to the external, the more that internal gets shoved down, pushed down, and we amplify actually. This is something I've listened and witnessed in my mind and around me in my life, and it's powerful when you can sit with yourself and go, OMG, I think I just figured out something. And I was sitting in my meditation this morning because first off, a couple things. When Mr. Tommy was leaving, relationships aren't perfect, but they are perfectly and exactly what you need, right? Relationships aren't perfect. They're exactly perfect the way in which you need them in your lives, okay? And so I want you all to know we all have our challenges, and what those challenges are in our relationships are inevitably the relationship with ourself playing out. And so, oh, honey, I'm your number one fan, baby. And when we started rapping, I'm going to give you a little bit of background. First off, make sure you have something good to drink, right? We got some coconut water, Harvest Bay. I like this coconut water. It's pretty reasonably priced. I get this at Nature's Food Patch up the street. It's yummy. And I actually do need a drink. Thank you, honey. So real quick, not real quick, because I could say that, and it could end up being an hour. When we first started with this RADiculously RawThentic, he first found me. We came up with this idea to bring everyone together that was a collective. And he had a vision, and it aligned with my vision. Now, I told him before, and he's heard it a million times, right, 4 hours. In my life, I've had many miracles, and I've been very blessed to witness and recognize them to the point where there have been times when I'm down, I just pull one of those memories out, and it reminds me and it inspires me, and it gets me back on track. See, this is where we're going with those. I made a prayer during one of my meditations prior to Tommy's showing up in my life. I prayed for someone to find me, and I did. I've been praying for a partner for many years, somebody who I could work with in this symbiotic way, that their strengths and my strengths could come together and work well together, right? Because relationships aren't about giving more than 100%. We're all giving what we got. When we show up in relationship, we're showing up where we're at. You can't give more or less. You're just giving what you've got. There's no such thing as more than. The more than is more of the attachment to your perceived ideals, your ideas, your thoughts. Your ego mind is trying to run the show and tell you, see, look at how much we're doing. We're doing so much more. Or it's saying, oh, we could have done more. We could have done better. You can only do what you know at the moment that you're doing it. The woulda, coulda, shoulda, wipe that slate clean. Take that pressure off of yourself. Don't feel like you got to live up to your own mind, because a lot of times that's where our suffering is originating, right? It's all created up in here. It's all cray-cray. Let it go. Let your life flow. Anytime we are pulled out of our peace, we're giving away pieces of ourselves. So again, I'm going to go back to the story, because when he showed up, I was instantly aware. I'm like, OMG, somebody got the call. And I was so impressed, because I realized it does work. I was able to see how my life had shown up to the prayer that I had put out there. How powerful my meditations, my practices, and everything that's been going on in my life is really always about me showing up, me doing the work. And sometimes it doesn't feel like you're doing the work if you don't see something as a result. You think you need to see it all around you. Like it needs to show up like this. Or it needs to show up like this. Right? Just cupcakes, anyone? Donuts? Okay, here's how life shows up. Shows up to remind you that if you keep up, you will be kept up. Sometimes we don't feel like it. That's okay. You either are or you aren't. And if you don't, it'll still show up. It may just take a little longer, or it may just be instantaneous. But try not to judge it, and try not to get caught up in the how it's supposed to show up, when it's supposed to show up. That's the perfectionism. That is the ego mind trying to control everything. It wants when it wants it, how it wants it. Exactly, right? And that's not serving any of us. It's more exhausting, because the disappointment, that suffering it creates in your life is exactly why we have such trouble really embracing what we have right here, right now, and being grateful for what we have. How many of you have gotten so taken out of your peace that you recognized and saw later, usually it's later, that you were so fixated on the what didn't show up that you couldn't see how good you had it, right? You don't know what you got till it's gone. But why do we have to get to that point? The more we can reel ourselves back in, bring ourselves to the present moment, and go, whoa, you know what? I know this is really painful. I know that there's a lesson, there's a blessing in this. This is really, like if you got to scream it out, you got to do something physical. That's how I am. I go out, take Buddy for a walk. Whatever it takes, get out of your head. Put your feet on the earth, ground yourself, get out to a beach, get your toes between some sand, feel it so you can release it and heal it, right? I'm thinking about the blogs again. I may be picking those back up, because I really feel like there's a lot I can share while Tommy's going through his stuff over there and what I'm dealing with back here, as well as these videos. I really do believe in the power of the breath. The breath will sustain you and maintain you and bring you right back to where you need to be. If you are mindful enough to come into the moment and be present with yourself, right? And so, whatever is going on in your life right now, Ooh, and I feel it. And you know, I feel things. Whew, there's a lot of heaviness out there for a lot of you, and I can feel you. If you don't think I can feel you, if you could have felt what I just felt, just with one breath, and I was feeling it this morning, the things that are going on around me, and I have to sit with it and go, how much of this is the miracle that's really unfolding in my life, and how much of this am I picking up that's not truly not mine? Because when we sit with these thoughts, these situations, these occurrences that are going on in our lives, this is what's coming through for me right now. Ooh, I don't do this very often. The moment you attach and you label your situation or yourself in that moment, you have just created something that might not have been yours. It isn't yours until you own it, you label it, you claim it. And that's where I go back to in the beginning. I've been talking for these videos, talking about rewriting our stories. Really powerfully going, okay, it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it was what I needed. And let me just wash that out as the terrible story and rewrite it in the way that it unfolded and brought me such joy, brought me peace, brought me back to my centeredness, my being, who I am right here, right now. That we don't recognize that we get so caught up in here that we're not really here. Does that make sense for anybody out there? That when we're all caught up in here, we're not doing anything. We're not here. We're not present. We're outside of ourselves. Even though it seems like we're inside. It seems like we're here because we're in our head. But we're not. We're somewhere else. That whenever I've found myself cut, tripping, accidents, not paying attention, or just losing like my focus, that in itself tells me I am not present in the moment and I am not right here. I am being taken out, and it's being taken out by the mind, that ego that wants to control and take like charge, sometimes in a kind way and sometimes not so kind. It's really powerful, and I learned years ago when I did my first teacher training down in Nicaragua that the minute you put a label on something, you have removed the experience and you're not even there and present. And so when you can really sit with how we so easily want to have all this control, which we have none of, it's the illusion of it, that the mind, that's how it stays alive, that's how it keeps busy, is it turns around and goes, wow, look at this situation. The minute you have started thinking is the minute you have taken yourself out of the moment. You have removed yourself from the right here, right now. Life is a sweet blessing, and we need to be more present, right? I love you so much, baby. And so I really wanted to share with you, like when we first started rapping, it created the ripples into my life. More so because it was fun, it was playful. I had somebody who, number one, clearly believed in me enough to want to play, to reach out to me, who loved my content, loved my writing, really built me up and made me recognize that somebody saw it, okay? And that it was relevant, and we're all relevant. So me speaking about myself is also speaking about y'all and your strengths. That just because somebody doesn't recognize it doesn't mean it doesn't exist in you. But it's powerful when somebody shows up in your life, clearly, to point it out to you, that you respect enough to appreciate and receive it, right? Now that's a key right there. Most of us won't receive because we don't feel worthy. We're fearful. And we're fearful of being rejected at the same time. So when someone is actually paying us a compliment, we don't believe it, we don't trust it, because we don't feel worthy, and we don't allow it because we're pushing it away. Like there's this push-pull. We want it, but we don't feel worthy of it. We demand it in many cases, right? How many of you out there demand that somebody treat you a certain way, and when they don't, you get really upset? So you're like trying to force them to treat you some way, but never taking into consideration that however you're treating yourself is exactly the example that they are following 9 times out of 10. They're there to serve you, to let you know how you are showing up in your own life. It's an opportunity, it always is. So again, when we come into these moments and someone comes crashing into your life, and then it's like, wow, and then they come into your presence, because this is what occurred. I invited him to come down here. It was a leap of faith, just like anything. And I didn't know what to expect. And I really did. I sat with it and said, you know what? I'm going to trust my soul that whatever is meant to unfold is going to be perfect. And I'm not going to attach to it having to be a certain way. I'm not going to put it in the same category as all my other relationships, right? Because this person deserves a clean slate. This person deserves to not be obliged to me and my expectations. How many of you out there can do that? Because I know my old pattern would be looking at a guy, sizing him up. And ladies, I know I'm not the only one here. Sizing him up, thinking, okay, he's attractive. What's he got to offer? Is there physical and intelligence? Can I get along with this person? And what can I see? Maybe you're even projecting like how kids look. I mean, that it can get deep. I know this because I've been there, done that many moons ago. But when you can release all of that and bring yourself into a presence and a stillness of the moment, allowing each moment to unfold, to let momentum take its course and not have to control every aspect of it. That's when you're going to find more miracles. That's when you're going to witness the beauty in your life and become more grateful and like appreciative, and that creates more of what you've got, right? So if you get stuck on something that doesn't jive with you, try to always bring it back to what is it that's already occurring. You know, we've had our ups and downs, our bumps in the road, and he'll tell you, But one of the things I said to him in the beginning, and honey, I still say this, we are so lucky. How many couples out there recognize that 98% of the time things may be off kilt, are perfect, okay? This is what I meant. I got ahead of myself. How many of you out there can say you've got about 90 to 95% of the juiciest, yummy, fun flavors with your partner? And that when 2 to 10% pops up and it's like, ah! Can you get out of that space to pull yourself back and go, look at how good I got it. If we have little bumps in the road that take up 2 to 10% of us, right? Take us out of that piece. Maybe they rub us because a diamond needs polishing. You can't have a diamond with a little bit of rough edges to begin with. It's got to be put under that pressure to come out sparkling, right? And relationships are there to make you into that better version of your soul and self that you were meant to come up into. Like, it isn't just perfection, perfect. Oh, it's so wonderful. Oh my gosh, it's a fairy tale. It always starts out that way. And then the stuff comes to surface. Inevitably, the things that people love about each other turn into the things they can't stand and they want to change. Does that make any sense to anybody? I don't know what that's all about, but it happens a pretty good majority of the time. But if you got I don't care, if you got more than 50% going good in your relationship, you might want to step back and go, what is it I can do to improve? How can I serve my partner better? How can I show up better? And like I said earlier, it really comes back to you also have to be kind enough with yourself to not woulda, shoulda, coulda, and recognize whenever you're showing up in the best version of yourself in the moment. Don't cut yourself down or beat yourself up. Bring yourself back into your presence, in your loving space, your heart. because that's what's coming through at all times. And if you're not in your heart, then you're coming from your head, and then you're not, in that space of uplifting, inspiring, empowering, and, motivating one another. And that's where we want others to shine as well. We want you all to have amazing, beautiful lives. So no matter what is going on in your life, know, if we didn't have bumps in the road, we wouldn't know what to appreciate when it came along, would we? Right? You don't know what you got till it's gone. And the true test of life is really in how much are you going to allow yourself to receive more of. There's that saying, where attention goes, energy flows. So if your attention is on all those things you dislike, don't want, that really tick you off, take you out of your peace, you're going to bring more of that into you. Whereas when you're going, wow, did you see how amazing my papaya tree turned out this year? Even after a frost, this sucker, and Tommy was here, it lost all its leaves. We didn't know it was going to make it this far. And now, OMG, the papaya coming off of it. And I'm going to tell you, they're the sweetest papayas, despite the frost. And I'm exceptionally grateful that I have a papaya tree, right? Is my sister in the house? I love you so much, Lori. I love you, love you, love you. Just like anything, if you don't nourish the soil, the seed cannot sprout, flourish, and it's a constant attention, right? Any planted seed, any flower, any fruit, any bush, anything you want to grow needs to be properly harvested and well taken care of and loved upon. And sometimes those seeds that we're planting aren't necessarily the ones we want to be doing that with, right? You want to till the soil properly and work on the inner stuff so you can actually see it on the outside eventually. So like I said, relationship and how things show up in your life, and as I have navigated my life, I like to sit in my meditation, and it's not always wanting to do it, by the way. I say I like to reflect. This past week since Tommy's left has been challenging. Number one, I'm not sleeping. Number two, I'm not sleeping. And then when I do wake up, I'm so tired. And so I'm dragging butt, just trying to get on my mat. I'm cleaning up the house. I'm finding all sorts of things I can do before I have to sit down. And by the time I sit down, I realize, oh my gosh, this is like the height of the day. And I really want to get this done. I really want to get that done. And I'm sitting there in my meditation going, am I done yet? Right? But this particular morning, I kind of reeled myself in and said, okay, you're clearly in a rush. What's this about? Obviously, you're picking something up, and I mean energetically and thought waves and all this stuff that's happening in the world. And I get it. There's so much you can put your attention and focus on. I don't watch the news. I have no idea what's going on out there, but I can tell you I feel it. It doesn't mean that I don't get an awareness, that every once in a while I'm chimed into knowing this is what's occurring, but I don't feed it all of my energy. I don't talk about it because I'm not trying to give it more fuel, fire, letting it grow, right? Just like the seed. These are conversations, I prefer to have conversations that are uplifting. Like, what are you doing in your life today that's bettering you for the next day and your future? And even if it is something that's a challenge, can you see how it's really meant? It's serving you up. It is serving you up, baby. Because it's in our biggest challenges, that is our strength and our gift to serve the world. Some of us, it takes till we get older, before we really start to go, oh my gosh, that's why I went through that. And this is the reason right here that I'm here. If you can look and see how you've traversed the steps of your life and recognize how each corner, each curve, each fork in the road that's shown up, and even if they didn't show up, honestly, it's still going to bring you to the same destination. It's just going to look different than it might have from a different perspective, a different avenue. We have to stop looking at the woulda, coulda, shoulda, people, and just be present with what is. Because that takes us out of the whole purpose of life and gives us an exhaustion. Haven't you noticed that? How exhausting is it? When we're like, OMG, this is going on, woe is me, I can't handle this, it's so difficult. I try to remove certain words from my vocabulary. It's difficult, it's hard, it's challenging, it's really hard. Like, if I use those words, I even kind of do this for myself. And the reason I do that is because it's an energy. And the more I use those words, the more I'm drawing more of that hard, difficult challenge to myself. I don't need that. I know what I need. And what I need is to be more present in nature, walking with Buddy, enjoying every moment that I can, drinking some coconut water, some coffee kombucha. I could really use some vitamin D today. I may just sit out on this beautiful deck that Tommy prepared. He did this amazing job. I mean, really? All these beautiful things. And you know, there was some hemming and hawing during the time that was being made, and it's okay. All I can do is just hold the person in that moment where they're at. No matter the stress, no matter what you're going through, be kind on yourself. If you can be kind on yourself, others can also learn to be kind on you because you're setting that example. They're going to turn around and they're going to go, oh, well, they're not doing so bad over there. Look at them. They're actually doing really well. I can expect for them the best because they're doing the best, right? When you don't know better, it's one thing. But the moment you know better, you can do better. You can choose to do better. And when you don't have the best, you do the best with what you got, right? And that is, in itself, like you should be grateful that you can do anything. Wake up and breathe. Look in the mirror, wink at yourself, smile at yourself. If I could impose one thing upon all of y'all today, I would say this. Do something good for you today. Especially those of you who are struggling and going through some serious life challenges. Joanne, I'm talking to you because I want you to know all those struggles, those challenges you told us about in the group today, I'm impressed because you are here. You are alive. You have the power of the breath supporting you, and there's a reason for it, honey. You're here for other women to speak up. No matter what happens in life, when you speak up for yourself, you're giving someone else permission to allow their voice to be heard. And we don't do that enough as women, do we? Sometimes we do it, but maybe we do it with the wrong presentation, I'm going to say. But even still, it doesn't matter. That's irrelevant because, again, there's no perfect way to do it. It's all going to teach us. So if we show up and we're screaming, right? We're like lionesses going, I've had it, because I'm a Leo, right? I've had it. I'm done with this, and I've been there. Sometimes you need to do that to be able to see, wow, check me out, I have a voice. And there's nothing wrong with it. I want you to give yourself permission to do it if you need to. Even if you got to do it, and you don't feel comfortable doing it towards someone who you feel is the cause, which 9 times out of 10 it isn't them, it's us. Do it somewhere secluded, sacred, safe. Do it for you just to get it out. I will beat up the compost pile if I have to, because I'm going to churn that earth, and Mother Earth's going to take it and it's going to clean it out. Learning to say no in a way that none of us have said before. When you say no, it's going to come from that navel point. You're going to feel it rumble up through your body like, no! Because what you're doing is you're grounding and establishing a yes for yourself. Some of us, it's hard to say no. But we have to learn that our no is a yes. And so, yes, we go through challenges to test our resolve, to test our resilience, to test our self-worth. And how much you love yourself is important just as much as you think loving someone else is. It's more important, actually. You can't love anyone fully if you don't love yourself truly and completely as you are, with every aspect. It's easy to turn around and pick apart things we like and not the things we dislike. If we dislike an aspect, we need to love that too, because that's a good part of us that shows us the parts we do like. And it's all perfect. We need contrast. We can't see one thing without the other. And again, we're going to dance on that pendulum. We're going to bring it back and make ourselves extremely whole and loving. Bring it all back to the one. Your dislike and your like don't exist when you're whole in the moment right here. You can't like or dislike anything right now if you are fully present in the moment, taking in all the sounds, all the sights, the smells, the taste, and feeling it. Like sometimes it's not even just tactile touch with your fingers. Sometimes it's feeling the air on your skin, feeling the energy, the heat coming off of your body. Again, this is our sensuality, ladies. And I know we're sensitive beings because nobody wants to be labeled insensitive, right? And so when you bring all those senses together, your kombucha will be that much more flavorful, filled with love. It really is about the here and the now. And so however you're showing up in your life, whatever you're going through, you're navigating and trying to keep up with all these massive changes. And many of us have no idea what's next. What is next? Why are you worried about it is the question, right? If we're supposed to be in the here and now, why are we so fixated on what's happened and what's going to happen that we can't even be right here? Tommy's on an island. I guarantee he's really getting hit with that. Wow. I told him on our first video chat, I was like, does it feel surreal? I mean, because for me, I can feel that because I know what it's like when you're somewhere new and you've been anticipating it. And it's like you really, truly are in your own dream, right? I posted that the other day. Let yourself come to the realm where your dreams are your reality. But you have to be present for it too, right? How could you ever know that you're living your dream if you're not present in the moment? In this right here, right? Mwah! Kelly, Lisa, Mike, I love you all so much. Thank you. Paula, for showing up. Because we're all here to show up for life, right? And when we show up, we're not becoming adults in the maturity of growing up. Oh, grow up. No, what we're doing is coming into this mature space of being, of knowing when to speak up, how to speak up. Because, yeah, we got to go through these little obstacle courses of life in order to know, oh, that didn't work out so well. Okay, let's take another avenue. But not to get fixated and caught up in that, oh, it didn't work out. I'd like to think that, and I have my moments, I'll throw a hissy fit or a temper tantrum sometimes too. Because, yeah, I want things to be a certain way. But then I also remind myself that every time it hasn't gone my way, it's turned out even better. Okay, so I didn't get that. Guess what I did get, though? Right? I think the biggest blessing and gift, and I know Tommy will tell you this, at the time it didn't feel like it, I know that. When I brought him to the airport, when Dad and I went to the airport with the bike, with all of his baggage, and this was a huge test for him. It's been a test the whole time, and I want you all to know, when life changes, massive life changes are coming up in your life, guaranteed, you are already experiencing it before you physically see the change coming in. You are already going through the motions, and it can be 2-3 weeks out, it can be a month, it could be however long. But I tell you, whenever I get ready to go through something big, and I know something else is coming up here soon because I'm starting to feel it heavily. When major life changes are happening for you, you're not going to see it, but you're going to feel it. And it's a lot of the mind going through the oh, I don't know, ooh, I don't know, something doesn't feel right, or something goes wrong and you really jump on it, or, like, you start to doubt yourself, right? The mind, when it's a change you've never experienced before in your life, that mind will try to trick you and talk you out of it, because the mind says, this doesn't feel familiar. I don't know how to handle this. I can't compare it because it's not the same as anything that's ever occurred in the past. Because the mind's there to protect you, right? Right? And so when the mind shows up and it's in that mode of, and whenever you start to see yourself doubt yourself, that's a good thing. That's when you know a miracle's around the corner, that a big, massive change. And that's where you really need to become more present with yourself. Because when you start writing things like that down, like, oh my gosh, I started to notice this was happening. And I witnessed it with myself, and I witnessed it with Tommy, and I just observe. I love to observe. I'm a people watcher. I love to travel because I love the engagement and the immersion, and the challenges that come with it to me are actually blessings, and I love to flow and go with it. So we go to the airport on Monday. I was just going based off of the time that I remembered he told me was the 15th, and I couldn't find an email, so I didn't really look it up. But I do have to admit a lot of things, and Tommy, I know you know this because you say it and we go through it. Where's this? What's this? Like, I don't even know half the time, but when he turns to me, I seem to be able to know and find things. So I was kind of dealing with my own stuff. I've got a lot of commitments during this time while he's in Hawaii. And while he's in Kauai, I'm crying because I got so much going on. I got yoga teacher training coming up this weekend. I've got Beyond Addiction coming up next month. I've also got a wedding to go to up in New York City. That's going to be fun to blog and go live on, right? And because I haven't traveled in so long, for me, it's like juicy time, right? And I morph into my travel mode, right? Because you have to become the chameleon and navigate yourself through different environments, right? We're at the airport. It turns out we were in line because we kind of got pointed in one direction, pointed in another, but we have his box with the bike. He has his baggage. I'm standing there. I'm excited. I'm kind of, sad. I'm concerned, but keeping my focus like, okay, this is all going to work out for him. It's all going to work out. I know it is. He got this far. He's not going to turn back now. Sure enough, we get to the counter. The guy seemed a little bit like maybe not so familiar with a lot of the procedures. It's all good. It was a long wait, though, and that's what, life is trying to teach us all patience with ourselves, and timing is, of course, the mind trying to take control over things like, I don't have time for this. Sorry, but some things you just can't fight with time, the perception of it. You got to drop that. And then the guy seemed very unsure of himself, and so, again, you got to have patience with that. Really gets down to it. Turns out the flight's the wrong day. But you know where you got the blessing, right? You all understand, if you've been watching and following, the blessing was that if he hadn't have shown up a day late, I guarantee it would have been more stressful, and it would have changed the whole dynamic of his trip. Having that extra day to plan properly because of the circumstances that arose, that he couldn't take the bike, it was too much weight, the misunderstanding from the person who told him one thing on the phone and the people there at the counter, which could have been wrong too. We don't even know. We're not going to go there. The bottom line is this, and I witnessed, and Tom went through it too, is we go through doubting the circumstances based on little hiccups, when in reality, those setbacks are setups. They're giving you steps to keep on going. And how you show up to those circumstances is exactly what is going to unfold for you. So if you go and you throw a tantrum, or you charge ahead into another direction, you change your focus and say, okay, that didn't work. Not, why didn't it work? How's it going to, we can so easily get drawn in. He could have easily been sucked into that vortex of, okay, I'm done, and given up and thrown his hands up, right? He could have still been here. That's the beauty. He's showing up to life. He's keeping going, and he's growing on, right? He's keeping going and keeping growing. He's continuing exactly what he's showing up here to do, so that you all will feel inspired and witness that he's putting himself out there. And I know how hard it is. I didn't know how bad his anxiety was out in public. but he has grown so much in the past year. And it has been exactly a year from today, because I was looking through pictures yesterday, and he showed up in the middle of the night, and I felt like I knew him forever. And that can bring me a little teary-eyed, because we've grown as in a relationship where I've learned better communication. He's learned a lot more patience. And I believe he's also earned and learned a lot of trust for himself and others. And what we do here is not as easy as it looks. I'll tell you that right now. It has its challenges. It's little things from, oh my gosh, am I going to do this right? You know, like, am I going to post at the right time? Are y'all going to see me? Am I going to show up and nobody's going to see me? You know, like, social media is right now such a loose cannon. We don't even know, because the algorithms change, and so does everything else. But if this is the kind of content that really lights you up and inspires you and you want to see more of, it's most important that you know how to find us. And so here we are, showing up on the page. You also need to show up in the group, because we do things in there that we don't put on the page. And I'm picking up that declutter challenge later today. I'm gonna tackle day 6. You know why day 6 didn't get done right? Because a certain ninja was using that as his workstation. And he's like, oh no, I can't. You can't do day 6. You can't clean off the dining room table. I'm like, I want to clean off the table. So since he's been gone, I have been going through my own personal, a little bit of sulking, because I've been missing him. And it's, you know, like, there are times that, you know, oh God, it's so good, I can get stuff done, you know, and because this is the way the household here is. It's, you know, speed up, slow down. Speed up, wait a minute, what are you doing? You know, need to do this, right? And it's all perfect. And I'm so grateful for all of those interactions, because it's made me a better, more compassionate, more loving, available person for myself and for others. And no matter whatever challenges, those aren't challenges, people. Those are just training, right? It's like putting your training wheels on so that you can be more powerful, with more resilience, and like showing up with that strength of knowing who you are is huge. Not everybody has that. And somebody else is going to mirror that back to you. What a blessing is that? Blessings come in the form sometimes that you don't even realize. And we just need to bless everyone. And I'm serious. Bless your enemies, bless your family, your friends, because it is all perfect. And then when we come back into this being mindful in the moment, and me sitting in my practice this morning, it was like, really like, wow. I can't get upset at myself for not getting certain things done, but I can be really happy in seeing how it's unfolded. How much happier and calmer Buddy has been, because now he feels like, okay, well, we have a routine now, right? He's got a nice clean bed. He's going to get a bath today. He is not itching near as much. I've got my cupcakes and donuts left over from yesterday. And I just want to say that I had this come through this morning specifically, that I know and I feel, you know, like the uncertainties of everything that everybody's going through, because I'm going through myself. And that, you know, I don't know when Hami's going to come home, or if he is, or if I'm going there. And that's the point. You got to stay tuned for that, because we don't even know. Even if we did know, we weren't going to tell you anyway. But that is the cool thing about life. We have various choices and options available to us. It's just, what's going to be your choice? Well, how are you going to move forward? But you got to be present right here, right now, and be happy with where you're at. Yeah, and it was really reminding myself, you know, we don't know, and I like to think I know sometimes, and even still, like I go into my own self-doubt in the questioning. And I had to stop myself on that this morning, because I realized, okay, something's coming through because I'm questioning it. And if I'm questioning it, I need to sit more still and witness it. What is coming through my mind? What is being conjured up, right? Life is funny like that. So I love you all. Let's see. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments. I'm more than willing to answer a couple questions here because, I know you all, those of you who do follow us, I kind of wanted to give you a little bit of what's going on with me because I know I'm here without my man, my ninja man. And when he's not here, it is a little melancholy. Like I said, I kind of miss his presence, but he also knows, I know you know, honey, he also knows that I'm getting a lot more things done on the one hand, and I have a lot of commitments anyway. So it's good to not have the distraction, but I still have the distraction. That's the irony. Because I'm trying to be present for him while he's doing his thing. And also, I want to know what he's doing because, of course, I miss him. So here's what we got. This is what's left from the whole box of 6. There were 3 cupcakes and 3 donuts. Gluten-free, soy-free, dairy-free, vegan, nut-free, sunflower-free, corn-free. Okay, there's sugar in there. I didn't ask if it was, I didn't even go as far as to ask what kind of sugar, y'all. And it's all good because I figured it's an option. And you got to do the best you can with what you got. And I'm really happy I went over there. I had a feeling I was going to really like this place. I don't care what your so-called eating lifestyle is. Who didn't grow up loving cupcakes and donuts? And if you didn't, let me know in the comments. I want to know why. What did you not like about cupcakes and donuts? I have to say it's one of my old comfort foods. And I didn't need a lot of frosting when I was a kid. But, okay, so here's what I got. I got a s'mores donut. I got a vanilla glazed donut. And a carrot cake donut. Then, for the cupcakes, I got mint chocolate chip. Did I get carrot cake on that one? Oh, no, I got that mixed up. Carrot cake donut. And I said Samoa. And the apple... It's apple crisp, apple crumble. Kind of reminded me like a coffee cake style donut. And then the cupcakes were carrot cake, pumpkin cheesecake. That was really, really good. And that mint chocolate chip. Let me tell you, the mint chocolate chip was really, really good. I would have taken the chips off because I'm not a big the chocolate chip fan, I'm starting to find. I like chocolate that melts in my mouth, but when I'm eating something that has chocolate chips feel like I have to let it melt, but because I don't want to crunch it. Is that a weird thing? Is it just me? But here's what I got left. I've got a vanilla glaze piece. Yummy, yummy. They are really, really good. And if you're in the St. Pete, Clearwater area, you have to stop in there. They do sell at other places, I was told, like some juicery places in Tampa. Oh my gosh. And this brings back a memory. So with my dad, we used to go to a Dunkin', it wasn't a Dunkin' Donuts at the time, but my Auntie Mary, who's also my godmother, she would work in the donut shop. And we used to go in there. And oh my gosh, that is so good. It just so brought me back to that memory. My dad always liked the chocolate eclairs and the Boston cream filled donuts, right? Do y'all know which ones I'm talking about? Those were my favorite because they were his favorite. I was that kind of kid, okay? I took on a lot of my parents' favorite foods because that's my connection to them, and that's what we do sometimes. But can you recognize it? I do. I'm really attuned to it. Just like when I used to eat meat. When I would eat a steak, it was medium rare. Bloody, right? My dad, that's how he likes his. And so, of course, I learned it from my dad. This is what's left of that apple crumb coffee cakey kind of thing. And these are really pretty darn close, and they're pretty filling. They're not super, super sweet, which is amazing. Always good with coffee. OMG. The sweetest of them all, I would say, was really the cupcakes with the frosting on them. The mint chocolate chip for me was hands down perfect, just the way it was, because the cream was where most of the mint was. The carrot cake for me was just right. not too sweet. The frosting kind of balanced out the actual cupcake. And then this is a s'mores donut. Really close to a s'mores, y'all. It reminds me of those chocolate donuts when you're a kid, too. What's your preference? Donuts or cupcakes? Let me know. Do you have a favorite place that you go to, a favorite bakery? I do now. And to have the options we have today, we never had these options. Hey, Carl, how are you? Hi, Jeanette. I'm telling you, I can't even imagine what it was like years ago when people were aware but not aware. I mean, if we're suffering, that's what I was also going to share is if your physical body is going through really extreme pain right now, I want you to consider that it also is coming from your mind, right? That when we are feeling the discomfort in our physical body, it's because it's a manifestation of the discomfort we're having with our life, our situation. And that if we can sit with that discomfort, and this is what I try to do, because I was really feeling into some areas this morning, and I'm going, wow, I've been in a lot of pain lately. And I know a big portion is right behind my heart space, all right? It's really about really opening up, really allowing yourself to be vulnerable, even if you don't know what's next. Life is about showing up with courage, and Yogi Bhajan says, show up and you will be kept up, or keep up and you will be kept up. And what that really translates to is not getting caught up in it, but keeping up and maintaining your life, keeping yourself on an even keel of, okay, awareness. I noticed this just took me out of my joy. Okay, do I attach to it and get upset at it? Or do I step back and ask myself, what is the root cause of this? What is this really about? The more you can do that, the more you can work through the healing of it. And that stuff won't bother you as much. Anytime we are taken into that crisis mode, that trigger comes up, it's an opportunity for healing. It's just an opportunity for you to go, oh, clearly I've suppressed myself in this area. Now how can I release it? How can I make peace with it? At the time, it may not seem that easy, but the more you work toward doing that, the better off you'll be. This is the last cupcake I have left. And I will eat it in half because it is so, sweet. And it's not sweet, but, I want to enjoy it. This is the carrot cake with that creamy frosting that we all know. It's so much like a carrot cake. And that was one of the few things my mom would make, was she would make carrot cake and zucchini bread. And there was something else. And it's so funny because, here you go, honey. Little thumb action. What? So, we need to be just more loving to ourselves. So, I hope you enjoyed this segment. I wanted to come on because, number one, I was missing y'all, and number two, I'm missing Tommy. And I would give you a little insight of what I'm really experiencing and going through. And it's all growing. It really is. What people forget is no matter how together someone may appear, everybody's dealing with something. Every single person. Right? You want one more story? Hold on. What kind of story do you want to hear? One about love? I tell you, my dad, Italy. So, years ago, I just started with my dad, so I'll bring up a story about Italy. And that beautiful post in the group, if I'm not mistaken, and I had to sit with it to remember the name of the town because it's in the Cinque Terre, which is the 5 cities, the 5 towns that run along the coast in Italy. One of them is known for the love gate, where basically the path of the foot, there's a footpath that goes from each city along the path, from one to the other. They're all next to each other. And there's one with all the locks, you know, the love. Dad's story too, okay. And so I went to Monte, I think it's Monte Rossini, maybe? Or Pernucci. I'm not 100% sure now. I just know it's right before Vernazza, which is around the corner, which I believe. And I went there back in, I'd say 2000 and... I left Italy when I lost my job in 2008. I think it was 2009 when I went. And I met up with the woman I had met on MySpace, of all places. And she's married. She's Canadian by birth, and he's Italian. And I got to, they recommended I go there, and it was on my way from Naples up to their place up in Milan. And so I loved it there. That footpath is so beautiful. So when I saw that picture, and I was reminded, and I thought, oh, I remember. And you want to go when it's not so rainy, because then when there's the landslides, it washed out Vernazza, for example. And when I showed up, I had to go on a boat, and the streets literally had all the mud from the side of the cliffs that had come down on it. But I love to travel. And so that's why next year I anticipate a trip to Tuscany with this beautiful villa and yoga and experience. That's what I'm showing up to share, because one of the things I find that when you take yourself out of an environment that you've been present in all the time, like if you're a United States citizen and you've never been out of the country, you don't really know, and you can't really appreciate the various contrasts between cultures, food, air, water. Like, it really serves. Every time you get out of your comfort zone is an opportunity for growth. And so just that opportunity to come into a space where you can smell the countryside, you know, the grass, the old smells of Italy, for example. I love to share that kind of stuff because I have really grown and benefited, and it's just in my blood. It's something I really, really am grateful I've had in my life and appreciate. It was something since I was a little girl that I knew I was destined to do, was to travel. I didn't know why, I didn't know how, but there was something in my blood, and it probably has a lot to do with my mom being quite the, come on girls, we're going on a road trip. Gypsy-like, but not gypsy-ish. That need to be free in the form of just going somewhere new, right? And if you've never been to Italy, it's a special place. And just like anywhere, I mean, it's going to show you something completely different than what you're used to. And it can take you out of preconceived ideas, right? Like my mom. She was so prim and proper the first time she came to visit. And we went to a men's gathering that was only for men, and only 3 of us women were invited. And that was a big whoop-de-doo, right? Because my friend was like, you know, they don't allow women in these meetings. My mom was like, I came to Italy to have my butt pinched. I was just like, oh my gosh, that's my mom. I was kind of laughing. I wasn't embarrassed. I just thought it was cute, and it was the old way of thinking, right? Her generation, it was, you know, Italian men pinch your butt. But it never sounded like it was something that was an attack and a harassment or any of that nature. So sure enough, my mom really thoroughly enjoyed that trip, and I loved that I was able to bring her, and we had that experience together. But everyone I know that when I used to live in Italy used to just say, and I used to write a lot. I used to share a lot on my vlogs, my blogs. I used to blog a lot, and I did used to post a lot of things. And my girlfriend and I would write her letters via text or messages and email and all. She would say, "You make it sound so beautiful, like I'm there." Some of my favorite things were just the simplicity of spring or fall, just driving along the Amalfi Coast and seeing the wisteria, and seeing the wisteria is also known as Glicine, right? It's the looks like grape leaves, flowers coming down from that viney, and you see them over a lot of terraces, just like the bougainvillea, that bright raspberry flower, things like that. They bring this like, and the smells, the pasta, the pizza, OMG. And by the way, they do have gluten-free pizza. I'm happy to report that. There's just so much from the old way of doing things to be immersed in that. Something that here in the United States, we've lost a lot of that. And so it's really powerful to have a new experience, because it's going to change your mindset, your belief system. It's going to give you creative juices as well. And how engaging it is with people who try to speak to you and you try to speak to them. I really love that, and I'm grateful that I learned French and Spanish growing up in high school, and it allowed me to better understand and learn to speak in Italian. And that's one of the gifts I bring as well, is that I have lived there, and I do have a lot of good contacts and friends, and I can bring that experience in a more rich with yoga. Right? If that interests you, let me know. And then I also got a chance to go to Italy with my dad and his wife before. When I was stationed and working, because I was in the Air Force for over 10 years, for those of you who don't know, I took my dad to Rome. We flew from Brussels because I was stationed in Belgium at the time. And we went down. It was during the year. That would melt my heart as well. I tell you what, it was really cool. It was an interesting year because that was the first year that Berlusconi ran, and he ran for the prime minister, because he's not really the president of Italy. And being a businessman, they had a lot of different feelings about Berlusconi being in charge. It's kind of on the same level as our country and having Trump. I think that's almost equatable right there. But we all got stuff. And all the stuff that is happening in our country is really just stuff that's happening inside of us. And we're all being presented and confronted with opportunities to, heal, to get out of ourselves and stop pointing fingers. Because all this stuff really is. And I did have conversations with the taxi driver and some other Italians. All it is to keep you distracted and focused on what's going on out there, so you lose sight of what's in here. And that's not the point of life. But it's really easy, if you allow it, to take you out of that. So my dad loved Italy. He really enjoyed traveling, and his wife, like me being able to translate, to order for them. Just like when we went to Portugal. And Dad and I are talking about it again, because I would love to go back to Portugal again next year. I usually travel once a year. This has really been kind of like, this is a long time for me to not travel, by the way. Just going to New York City is like, ooh, I'm so excited I get to get on a plane. Because that's what, it really is how I get my juices flowing, my creativity, it fuels my heart and soul. Traveling, really, because it's an opportunity for growth. I don't use the word challenge in it for me. I see it as, it's an opportunity to turn into my chameleon-like self and go somewhere, even if I've been there. Let me tell you, when I go back to Italy, my experience is exactly like, I feel like they open their arms and their hearts, and they're like, Lana, vieni qua. Oh, quanto ti mancavamo. Okay, so it would basically translate, how much we've missed you, right? Because I really feel that when I go. Just the short little stopover in the Rome airport, Ciampino, from Greece, to see my dad, to meet up for our Portugal trip. I just went to the little barista, and I had a wonderful conversation. And I said, how much I'd love to come back. And he was already offering me an apartment. And of course, I was paying rent. It was just, I know this place, if you're interested. That's how easy it is. If you're open, if you want that experience, you can draw it into your life. And so those of you who want to travel, are interested in something like that, that's what I'm here for. That's what I really feel I thrive with. And And I think that it's a beautiful opportunity anytime you can get out of your comfort zone. So I need more donut. Oh. I love you, honey. That's the other thing with Mr. Tommy, my ninja man being gone. I'm feeling you because I know whatever you're craving, I'm probably eating. Ladies, have you ever had that? Your man leaves, you're barely eating anything to begin with. The next thing you know, you're craving and eating everything they would be eating if they were here. Yeah, it's kind of comical. I'm eating, if you're wondering. Even though my chiropractor said I look like I'm losing weight, I was kind of like, what, really? I had someone else tell me that yesterday when I was walking Buddy. One of our neighbors is having a get-together next weekend, and I'm going to invite my dad. We're going to go down and make some friends with the neighbors. And he goes, you doing all right? You look like you've lost weight. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the second time I've heard that. I sure hope not. Isn't that butterfly flying by? I think the butterfly's telling me you're just transforming, baby. That was a carrot cake. Hold on. That was the last piece. I'm having a moment. What was I saying? See, that's how your moments should be. But then there should be a quick comeback, right? So, like myself, and ladies, if you can relate, please let me know in the comments. When I feel like I'm losing weight, or women, we go through these cycles weekly, right? It's not just a monthly cycle. We go through the shedding of the uterus. We go through the preparing for the baby. Like, there are 4 weeks, right? So our body is always changing, and everything within our body, right? And that's our sensitivity is heightened here and there. And we also have 11 moon centers, which means wherever you are in your moon center also correlates to whatever you're going to be focused on, more heightened in awareness on. There's powerful stuff. And you come to my yoga retreat and I will totally work with you on all that. So it's these little things that make you go, okay, people are noticing something. I had to sit there and go, well, usually right before my cycle, I noticed last week I was even more, tone? I felt tone, really like my butt was nice and perky. This morning I'm looking in the mirror, ladies, you can go with me on this. I'm like, where'd this little flabby thing come from? I look like I got an old lady butt all of a sudden. Like a week ago, it was like, yeah, we're really rocking it. The abs are good. I'm feeling good. And it's like, what happened in a week, right? Be kind on yourself. I have to check myself on the kindness meter too, because, silliness. No psychedelics, please. What do you mean? Please explain yourself, darling. I don't know what you're talking about. But definitely the moon centers is about like when we are in our ear lobes, for example, or in the backs of our neck, or if we're in our arc line, we have nipple to nipple. Men only have the ear to ear, but it's also both for women. This is our moon center normally, anyway. This is the moon, so that's why men, it's good to grow a beard to protect it. Just like with women in the Kundalini tradition, we wear a turban to protect our solar energy because our solar center is our head, right? We don't need more activity. And that's how we pick up, right? Like, because our hair is an antenna, is each of these, and then when they rub together, you create a magnetic attraction, and so you draw in more of what's going on around you. And sometimes that's so overwhelming, hence all the thoughts, that you need to keep a head covering, keeping your hair contained and coiled up. And that's what I normally will do. And you see me with my hair up a lot. But then you put the turban on it, it adjusts the cranial bones. It keeps you youthful because it's like a mini facelift too, ladies. These are just a couple little things I'm throwing out there for curiosity if you're interested. So Oh, wow. And Carl is a rockin' rad star, y'all. And if you haven't seen him, follow him because he has been he is a smoking cessation sensation, cessating, says he is smoking cessation, meaning he has quit his smoking. So he's a smokeless sensation in our book. He is amazing. He's been with us since the beginning. New Age teachers. Woman tried to open her third eye using psychedelics. I could go into all sorts of ideas about all that stuff. That's for another video. And actually probably better in person because I have a lot of beliefs and I think that we're all different. And one thing works for another, it doesn't work for someone else. And so I will never recommend that somebody needs to do anything. You just got to know who you are. You be you, baby. Get your love on, right? And know your truth. These mugs brought to me by my mommy who passed over 3 months ago now. It's been let's see, what's today? She passed on the 8th of July up in Omaha, Nebraska. And it's still surreal and I still feel like I want my mommy back. But it's all good. And I know she's with me and she's watching over me. Because when the butterflies go by and they've been fluttering around, so flutter, right, honey? She especially started showing up as that swallowtail, the black swallowtail. And it's very humbling. It's a good reminder. Just always pay attention to the signs around you. All right, so before I finish up, oh wow, the light, see the sun went behind the clouds, that's why the lighting shifted, right? Do y'all want to see this beautiful job that Mr. Ninja did over on this beautiful deck before he left? I moved some things around he hasn't seen. I got really, really strong. Like over here on my left, that's the mint, because the mint was over here. You're probably wondering how I moved it, baby. Let's just say I'm pretty darn strong. Same as the lemon tree over here too. So just a real quick, I'm just going to show you around. Look at this beautiful work. Look at that patio. If you go on my personal Facebook, I was looking at pictures from last year and how this all looked. Actually, I pulled up pictures from when I bought this house and how there was a fence all around the front building, and that the back building had its own separate entry and fence. So look at this gorgeous work. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? See, the lemon tree was over there. Now it's right here, right? We've got a little extra for all the work. Yeah. Where are you seeing a rainbow? Oh, you're talking about our beautiful table / benches. So yeah, and I moved one of our flowers. I've got to put it in a better pot. So I love you all. You got to check out this papaya. This is amazing. Look at how, when you don't think something's going to end up fruiting, you'd be surprised. What I could tell you right now is don't give up before the miracle. Remember, you are the miracle. That no matter what struggles you're experiencing in life today, tomorrow, the next day, give yourself permission to go through it all, show up so you can grow up, step up. That setback is setting you up. That it is actually your gift and your strength, whatever you're going through in this life. It is a blessing for you. Just try to take the label off of it and just be with it. Allow whatever intuitive guidance is meant for you to just drop in, because that's what it's for. It's for you. And you are for us, because we are a collective. And so if I can do it, you can do it. And I want you to remember, if you have faith in others, that means you should also have faith in yourself, because what you admire in someone else also resides in you. Oh, I love you, love you, love you. You're going to see more of me. Ooh. Have an amazingly blessed day. You be you, baby. There's no need for plan B if you just be, baby.